What do these words, if we live in the Spirit, let us walk in the Spirit, really mean? Are these just good ideas, moral sentiments? What is the practicality of this? How do we walk in the Spirit? How do we define the difference between walking in the flesh and walking in the Spirit? Well, Paul says the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. These things are coming from an entirely different paradigm, from an entirely different dimension than any of these other works of the flesh, which are all fear-based. I'm afraid I might lose my reputation. I'm afraid I might lose the opportunities that have been presented to me. We live a life of fear, which only produces work of the flesh. But that's a self-centered, humanistic idea, and it's permeated so much of faith. When we get back down to the bedrock of what faith is, which is that God longs for personal relationship with us, that since man was separated from God in the Garden of Eden, God has been designing a plan and setting the stage to welcome men back into fellowship with Him through the clothing of a lamb and not a fig leaf apron that you can design yourself. And all of these are products of fig leaf aprons, and it's unacceptable to God. God invites us into intimacy with Him, and when we begin to respond to His Spirit, when we submit to the leading of His Spirit, there's no self-conscious effort in being a good person. In fact, most of us just give up on being good, and we insist on being godly, which is God's life for mine, manifested in me, expressed in my daily walk. And it always reveals itself in a deep and abiding affection for others. The kind of love that the Bible says covers a multitude of sins. Love, joy, exuberance about this new life, this resurrection power. And if your Christian walk, if your daily life isn't detailed, isn't defined by resurrection power, you settled for a religious experience void of God Himself. There's an exuberance about this new life because it's not me, and the burden's not on my shoulders any longer. It's been placed entirely upon Jesus, who finished that work at Calvary and made me acceptable to God the Father. Period. And there's peace. There's a serenity that can't be disturbed by the storms of life. The circumstances of today are diminished in the light of the serenity that my soul possesses because I rest in everlasting arms. And I don't have to work at these things. They're gifts that God produces in me by His own Spirit. Our plum tree out front is not spending its spring months figuring out how it's going to produce fruit. It's spent its winter dormant. It's had its roots sinking deeper in the earth, absorbing water. It's been producing sap that flows through the tree, and flowers are appearing. It's just doing what it was created to do. There's no effort there. And hopefully, its branches are laden with fruit this year. God is asking us to abide in Him by passionate relationship. And then He will produce, when we sink our roots deep into Him, and respond to Him and allow Him to flow freely through us, then these fruits begin to be revealed in our life. And no one can point and say, wow, that person has really come somewhere in his relationship with God, because it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with your Creator. This is a God-centered faith. Take the burden off yourself, lay it entirely upon your Creator, and then be the new you that He always meant for you to be.